Chapter 4. Out the door and on his way down the stairs, Will had a premonition. The bike roared into life below Helen's window after midnight, and he pushed the choke in with the flat of his hand. He looked up and took a deep breath. Instead of heading west and home to sleep, he drove south on Western Avenue to Chicago Avenue. Her second story was lit, Cass, and in the sad yellow light between the long hanging curtains, he waited for her face to appear, and she did. He pulled to the side of the road and parked, and she met him at the door. She was bloodless against the dirty white hall at the base of the stairs. He saw her through the glass of the door, and sure as the sun, he hated her more than he ever loved her. She pressed her body close to the glass, but he did not reciprocate. She was unsure whether or not to open the door. He had an image of her on the back of his bike, thundering through the streets cooled by sunless air, and she lay her chin on his shoulder at the stoplight and whispered to him. Then an 18-wheeler plowed them down. Their bodies scraped together and crumbled like the dead leaves of the season. "I had a premonition," he yelled through the glass. "Something had happened to you. I had a premonition. That's why I came." "You were worried about me?" She had her hand on the doorknob. He shook his head. "I came," he shouted, "to be certain of you. And there you are, just as I remember. You haven't changed, have you?" He walked away. Cass. His Maggie May. He had been sweeping his apartment, and the song came on the clock radio. He knew it from suburban summer days in the 80s, when the neighbors' girls used to blast it out the window of their old home covered in chipped white paint. The house was torn down now, both parents dead after years of drug abuse. Maggie May. It was one of those songs you hope to never understand, just comprehend. The following night, Will was lying on the couch with his journal spread over his jeans, watching the Chicago skyline from the west side and the call of the Sears Tower's tallest point, the loneliest beacon in the city. Soon another architect and visionary would push his glass and steel love high and safe from the city's heat and noise. Another premonition had arrived. His foundation was intact. You have to be strong. You are the fucking top shelf. She can't touch you unless you let her. Still, the thoughts he had were crazy to him, nonsensical to an American boy. Thoughts of rape. He was taught girls had to watch out for rape, not boys. Not everybody. He was taught rape was physical, not mental, not emotional. He looked out with fiction eyes to the wall and the colors he colored there, and tapped the pen against his knee, and continued on because the meaning he needed could only be taken one breath and one verse at a time. He didn't care if he wrote poorly anymore, so long as the words were honest to himself. Like a shot of adrenaline and chill. That's what his life was about. Sometimes he mimicked the whole cycle simply so he would not forget what was in store. 'Cause Lord knows it was easy to forget. Easy to try not to remember, too. He would allow himself that rush that came hard and went away harder. That was life. His life.